First contact's price. The Martian dust storm had finally cleared after 3 weeks of waiting. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of Research Station Olympus, her dark eyes fixed on the excavation site below. The massive pit descended nearly a kilometer into the red planet's surface, floodlights illuminating what her team had uncovered. A structure that shouldn't exist. Final atmospheric readings are stable, announced Dr. Marcus Rodriguez from his station. We can resume operations whenever you're ready. Sarah nodded, trying to quell the tremor in her hands. After 15 years of searching Mars for signs of ancient life, they'd found something far more significant. The structure's metallic walls gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, untouched by millions of years of Martian erosion. Deploy the exploration drones, she ordered, and get me a direct link to mission control. They need to see this. As the drones descended into the excavation site, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the cosmos was about to change. The structure's architecture defied explanation. Perfect geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with a faint energy, despite being buried for what their initial scan suggested was over 1 million years. The first drone reached the main entrance, its cameras revealing intricate symbols etched into the metallic surface. Beginning surface analysis, reported Dr. Jessica Kumar, their xenoarchaeologist. These markings, they're not random. They appear to be some form of script, but unlike anything in our linguistic databases, the team worked in focused silence as the drones mapped every centimeter of the structure. It wasn't until they reached the central chamber that Sarah felt her heart nearly stop. Everyone, are you seeing this? The chamber housed what could only be described as a library. But instead of books, crystalline columns rose from floor to ceiling, each emitting a soft blue glow. At the center stood a pedestal with what appeared to be an interface of some kind. Dr. Chen, called out Rodriguez, his voice tight with urgency. We're detecting an energy spike from the structure. Something's happening. Before Sarah could respond, the interface activated on its own. A holographic display materialized above the pedestal, showing a 3-dimensional map of the solar system. But it wasn't the current configuration. The positions of the planets were different, suggesting this was a historical record. Multiple objects detected entering the solar system. The warning came from their orbital monitoring station. Massive energy signatures, approaching at FTL speeds. Sarah watched in stunned silence as several ships larger than anything humanity had ever built decelerated into orbit around Mars. Their designs were organic, almost alive, with surfaces that shifted and flowed like liquid metal. The communication system crackled to life with a message that made her blood run cold. To the inhabitants of Sol 3, designated Earth, you have accessed restricted historical records and activated a beacon. The Galactic Concordat cannot allow this knowledge to spread. Prepare for quarantine procedures. Dr. Chen, Rodriguez's voice shook slightly. They're deploying some kind of energy field around Mars. We're being cut off from Earth. Before anyone could react, the interface projected a new message. But this one was different, using Earth Standard English. Contingency Protocol Alpha activated. Earth Defense Network detecting hostile intent. Initiating awakening sequence. The structure beneath them hummed to life. Systems dormant for eons beginning to power up. Sarah realized with growing amazement that this wasn't just a historical archive. It was a warning system, placed here by someone who knew humanity would eventually reach Mars. Send everything we have to Earth, she ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. Every scan, every reading, every piece of data. They need to know what's coming. As the alien ships began their approach, Sarah noticed something strange in the holographic display. Beneath Earth's surface, dozens of points of light were beginning to shine. Similar structures, hidden on their own planet, waiting to be awakened. The message from the alien fleet continued. Your species has accessed forbidden knowledge. The quarantine is non-negotiable. Any resistance will result in immediate sterilization of your solar system. But Sarah wasn't listening anymore. Her attention was fixed on new data streaming across their screens. Data about humanity's true heritage, about abilities locked away in their very DNA, about a war fought long ago that had shaped the galaxy itself. "They're not here to protect some ancient secret," she whispered, understanding flooding through her. "They're here because they're afraid of what we might remember." As if in response, the structure's systems displayed one final message. "To the children of Earth, the time has come to remember who you are. The stars themselves will tremble at your awakening." The alien ships drew closer, their weapons charging, but Sarah felt a strange calm settle over her. Humanity had just discovered its true heritage, and though the price of that knowledge might be war itself, she knew in her bones that this was only the beginning. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in locations scattered across every continent, ancient machinery began to stir. The real question wasn't whether humanity would survive first contact. It was whether the galaxy was ready for humanity to finally wake up. As the Martian storm began to rise again, Sarah sent one final message to Earth. "They're not here to contain some ancient secret. They're here because we are the secret, and we're about to remember why they feared us." The Awakening Protocol. General Maya Patel stood in the underground command center beneath the Himalayas, watching as satellite feeds showed the alien blockade tightening around Earth. It had been 3 days since they lost contact with the Mars research team. 3 days of increasing tension as more alien ships arrived hourly. The facility around her hummed with ancient power, its crystalline walls pulsing with the same ethereal blue energy they'd discovered on Mars. Similar installations had activated worldwide, hidden bunkers that had waited millions of years for this moment. "Status report on the awakening chambers," Maya commanded, her voice steady, despite the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. Dr. David Cohen looked up from his station, his eyes reflecting the blue glow of the ancient displays. 23 facilities worldwide are now fully operational. The genetic markers we discovered in the Mars data match perfectly with the candidates we've gathered. Those candidates lay in stasis pods throughout the facility. 300 soldiers, scientists, and civilians who had tested positive for what the ancient database called the legacy sequence. Something in their DNA resonated with the alien technology, marking them as descendants of whatever humanity used to be. "General," called out Lieutenant Santos, "we're receiving a transmission from the Concordat fleet." The main screen flickered to life, showing the alien commander. Their form was vaguely humanoid but composed of shifting metallic scales, eyes glowing with an inner fire. "This is your final warning." The alien's translated voice boomed. "Surrender your awakening facilities or face extinction. You are accessing powers beyond your comprehension." Maya cut the transmission with a gesture. "How much longer until the first wave completes the awakening process?" 30 minutes, David replied, checking the ancient systems. "But General, we still don't fully understand what we're dealing with. The genetic alterations these chambers are making, they're fundamental changes to human physiology." Maya watched through the observation window as the stasis pods pulsed with energy. Inside, the volunteers were undergoing transformations that the ancient data suggested would unlock humanity's true potential. The same potential that had apparently terrified the galaxy so long ago. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. "Multiple orbital strikes detected," Lieutenant Santos shouted. "They're targeting major population centers." The attacks never reached Earth's surface. Shields of pure energy materialized above every city, technology that had lain dormant for millions of years responding to the threat. But Maya knew these defenses wouldn't last forever. "First awakening sequence complete," David announced, his voice filled with wonder. "Chamber 1 is opening." Maya turned as the pod hissed open, revealing its occupant. Captain Sarah Martinez stepped out, but she was changed. Her eyes glowed with the same inner fire as the alien commanders, and the air around her seemed to ripple with invisible energy. "How do you feel, Captain?" Maya asked, watching as Sarah flexed her hands, small arcs of energy dancing between her fingers. "I remember," Sarah whispered, her voice carrying strange harmonics. Not everything, not yet, but I remember what we were, what we can be again. She looked up at the tactical display showing the alien fleet. Their right to be afraid. More pods began to open, each awakened human displaying similar transformations. Some showed signs of enhanced strength, others demonstrated abilities that defied physics itself. But most importantly, they all carried fragments of memories. Memories of a time when humanity was something far more than they were now. "General," Sarah said, her eyes fixed on the alien ships above, "we need to wake the others. All of them. The Concordat didn't come here to prevent us from learning some historical secret. They came because we're living proof of their greatest failure." "What do you mean?" Maya asked, though part of her already knew the answer. Humanity wasn't meant to be just another species bound to one world, Sarah explained, her voice carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. "We were the guardians of this galaxy, created to protect the younger races. But something happened, a betrayal. They couldn't defeat us, so they found a way to make us forget ourselves." New alarms blared as the alien fleet began to move, multiple ships descending through the atmosphere. Santos reported, "They're launching ground forces." Maya watched as Sarah's expression hardened, power radiating from her in visible waves. "Let them come," she said. "Every human on Earth carries the legacy sequence, even if it's dormant. The more they push us, the more we'll remember. And once we remember everything." She left the thought unfinished as more awakened humans gathered around her, each glowing with newly unleashed power. Maya felt a shiver run down her spine, not from fear, but from anticipation. Humanity had spent its entire recorded history looking up at the stars, never realizing that they had once been its protectors. "Launch the Global Awakening Protocol," Maya ordered. "If they want to fight, let's show them why their ancestors had to make us forget who we were." As the alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, more stasis chambers around the world began to open. Humanity's forgotten legacy was finally awakening, and the galaxy would never be the same. Rising champions. The skies above Singapore burned with otherworldly fire as Captain Sarah Martinez led her team through the city's streets. Concordat dropships filled the air, their organic hulls writhing as they deployed invasion forces. But Sarah wasn't running away. She was hunting. "Contact, 2 kilometers ahead," Lieutenant Kenzo Tanaka reported, his enhanced senses detecting the alien presence. Like Sarah, he'd been transformed by the awakening chambers, his body now housing powers that humanity had forgotten it possessed. The team of 12 awakened soldiers moved with supernatural grace, their bodies leaving subtle trails of energy in their wake. Above them, the alien ships continued their assault on the city's shields, but they weren't the real threat. The real danger was what the Concordat had unleashed on the ground. "Multiple signatures," Kenzo continued, his eyes glowing brightly. "They're different from the ship's crews, some kind of enhanced combat forms." Sarah nodded, memories that weren't quite her own providing context. "Hunter-killers. They used these against us in the Old War too, specifically engineered to counter our abilities." The first hunter-killer crashed through a building wall ahead of them. 3 meters tall, its body a nightmare fusion of organic and mechanical parts, eyes burning with the same kind of power that now flowed through Sarah's veins. More followed, moving with terrible speed and precision. "Remember your training," Sarah called out to her team, drawing on both modern military experience and awakened memories. "They're strong, but they've forgotten more than we're remembering. The battle that followed would have been impossible just days ago." Sarah's team moved faster than human limits should allow, their bodies channeling ancient energies. When the hunter-killers attacked with crystalline blades that could cut through tank armor, they were met with shields of pure force. Sarah herself faced the lead hunter-killer, time seeming to slow as her enhanced mind processed the fight. Every movement of her opponent triggered fragments of ancestral memory. She'd fought these things before, or rather, her ancestors had. "You remembered nothing," the hunter-killer's mechanical voice grated. "You are pale shadows of what was destroyed." Sarah answered with action rather than words. Energy coursed through her body as she tapped into powers that humanity had wielded before recorded history. The air itself seemed to warp around her hands as she struck, her blow carrying forces that shouldn't exist in normal physics. The hunter-killer staggered, its armored hide cracking. "Impossible," it growled. "The suppression was absolute. The binding cannot be broken." Around them, the rest of Sarah's team engaged their own opponents. Each awakened soldier fought with increasing skill as more memories surfaced through combat. Kenzo had somehow tapped into abilities that let him predict his enemy's movements. Private Chen was generating fields of distorted space that trapped and crushed her opponents. "That's what you never understood," Sarah replied, pressing her attack. "You didn't bind our power, you bound our memories. And memories can never truly die." High above the battle, in the Himalayan Command Center, General Maya Patel watched similar scenes playing out across the globe. More humans were awakening every hour, their dormant abilities triggering in response to the invasion. Not all showed the same dramatic transformations as the soldiers in the stasis chambers, but something was definitely spreading through the population. New data from the ancient archives, General Dr. Cohen reported, his eyes wide with excitement. "We've decrypted more of the historical records. The Concordat, they weren't the only ones who feared us. They were just the ones who found a way to make us forget." On his screen, images showed a very different galaxy, one where humanity had been its guardians, wielding powers that blurred the line between science and what less advanced races would call magic. They had protected younger civilizations, maintained balances of power, prevented cosmic horrors from entering normal space. "The suppression field they used," Cohen continued, "it didn't just affect our ancestors' memories. It rewrote Earth's entire history, changed our development as a species, but the potential remained in our DNA, waiting." Back in Singapore, Sarah stood among the broken remains of the hunter-killers, her team recovering from the battle. More memories were surfacing now, not just of combat, but of purpose. Humanity hadn't been warriors by choice. They had been guardians, protectors, shepherds of younger races. "Central Command, this is Martinez," she reported. "First wave neutralized, but there's something else. Each engagement is triggering more awakenings in the civilian population. It's like the Concordat's attacks are breaking their own suppression field." In orbit, the alien fleet's commanders were reaching the same conclusion. Every attack on Earth was accelerating humanity's reawakening. The very weapons designed to destroy them were instead breaking chains that had bound them for millions of years. Sarah looked up at the battle-torn sky, feeling more of her true nature awakening. "They didn't come here to stop us from learning about our past," she realized. "They came to stop us from remembering our purpose. But it's too late now." Around the world, millions of humans were beginning to feel something stir within them. Not the dramatic powers of the fully awakened, but a growing awareness of their true heritage. Earth's defenders weren't just fighting for survival now. They were fighting to remember why the stars themselves had once known their name. The counterstrike. Admiral Elena Santos stood on the bridge of the CSS Defiant, Earth's first starship built with awakened technology. Just 2 weeks ago, it had been a conventional aircraft carrier. Now, transformed by recovered knowledge and awakened engineers, it hovered at the edge of Earth's atmosphere, preparing to take humanity's fight to the stars. "All systems are operational," reported Commander Jackson, his eyes glowing with the same inner fire that now marked millions of awakened humans. "The conversion process is complete. We're ready." Elena touched the ship's crystalline control interface, feeling the vessel's systems merge with her consciousness. The Defiant wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a fusion of humanity's forgotten technology and their remembering spirit. "Status report on the global awakening," she asked, watching as more Concordat ships arrived through their FTL corridors. 30% of Earth's population shows signs of active awakening," Jackson replied. "Another 40% are in the early stages. The Concordat's attempts to suppress the process have only accelerated it." Elena nodded, remembering how each orbital bombardment had triggered more awakenings. The enemy's energy weapons carried traces of the same power that had once bound humanity's potential, and each attack fractured that ancient suppression further. "Launch the first wave," she commanded. From the Defiance launch bays, squadrons of fighters emerged, not the conventional jets of 2 weeks ago, but crystalline vessels piloted by fully awakened humans, each one carrying enough power to challenge a Concordat cruiser. The enemy fleet responded immediately, organic metal ships shifting into combat formations, their weapons charged, preparing to unleash devastating power against these upstart humans who dared to reach for the stars again. But humanity wasn't fighting alone anymore. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in the ancient facilities that had protected their legacy, something vast was stirring. The planetary defense grid, dormant for millions of years, was finally ready. All stations, Elena broadcasted to every awakened defender, "Commence Operation Remembrance." The battle erupted across near-Earth space. Awakened pilots engaged Concordat ships in impossible maneuvers, their vessels moving with the same enhanced grace as their transformed bodies. Energy weapons crossed the void, but now humanity's defenders understood the principles behind them, could counter and redirect their power. On the surface, Dr. Cohen made a breakthrough in the Himalayan Command Center. "General Patel," he called out urgently, "magic, all in service of life's grand journey among the stars." "We remember everything now," Elena said, her voice carrying the weight of millions of years of restored history. "We remember why we chose to be guardians. We remember the oath our ancestors took, to protect all life, to nurture all potential, to stand against the darkness between stars." "The darkness," the high speaker whispered. "You don't understand. It's still out there, waiting. Your powers, your very presence, draws its attention." New images filled the chamber, memories of an ancient war against something that defied description. A force from beyond the galaxy's edge that fed on advanced civilizations, attracted to the energy of evolved species like moths to flame. The binding wasn't about fear of humanity, Ambassador Chen realized, ancient knowledge clicking into place. "You were trying to hide us, to suppress our energy signature so the darkness wouldn't find us. To protect the galaxy," the high speaker confirmed, "we had to remove its most visible beacons. Your power, your advanced civilization, it would have drawn them here millennia ago. The binding was meant to let humanity evolve naturally, below their notice." Elena stepped forward, her awakened senses perceiving layers of reality beyond normal space. "But you forgot something crucial. In trying to protect the galaxy from the darkness, you removed its best defense. How many civilizations fell because we weren't there to protect them? How many races never reached their potential because they lost their guardians?" The chamber fell silent as the truth settled over everyone present. The Concordat's plan, born of genuine concern, had ultimately weakened the galaxy. By removing humanity's protective influence, they had left countless species vulnerable to more mundane threats. "There's something else," Dr. Cohen added, displaying new data from the ancient archives. "The binding didn't just suppress our powers, it suppressed our purpose. The darkness feeds on advanced civilizations, yes, but it's vulnerable to something else, something uniquely human." The final images showed what the Concordat had never understood. Humanity's greatest power hadn't been their advanced technology or their evolved abilities. It had been their choice to use that power in service of others, their fundamental decision to be protectors rather than conquerors. "We were never just guardians because of our strength," Elena declared. "We were guardians because we chose to stand between the darkness and those who couldn't defend themselves. That purpose, that choice, it created an energy the darkness couldn't consume." Understanding dawned on the High Council's faces as they finally grasped the full scope of their ancestors' mistake. By binding humanity, they had removed the very force that could have unified the galaxy against its greatest threat. "The darkness is returning," Elena continued, "but this time we'll face it together. Not as rulers or conquerors, but as what we always were, guardians. teachers, protectors of all life's potential. One by one, the Concordat Council members bowed their heads. They had seen enough in the recent battles to know that this awakened humanity was different from what they had feared. These humans fought with precision rather than destruction, protected even their enemies, and showed wisdom with their power. The binding is broken, Elena concluded, but our purpose remains. We accept our role as guardians once more, not because we must, but because we choose to. The galaxy needs its protectors, not just against the darkness between stars, but against the darkness that lives in fear and isolation. The chamber erupted in light as ancient protocols recognized the renewal of humanity's original oath. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, suppressed humans began to awaken. But this time, their awakening carried not just power, but understanding. As Elena looked out at the assembled council, she felt the weight of humanity's restored legacy. They were no longer bound by chains of forgetting, no longer hidden from their true nature. But more importantly, they remembered why they had chosen this path in the first place. "We are humanity," she declared, her words carrying to every awakened soul across the stars. "We are the guardians who chose to protect, the teachers who chose to guide, a light that stands against darkness. And we choose this path once more, not for power or glory, but because every star holds life worth protecting, every world holds potential worth nurturing, and every species deserves the chance to reach for their own destiny among the stars." The galaxy would remember this moment for eons to come, not as the day humanity reclaimed its power, but as the day the guardians chose to return, bringing with them the promise of a future where no species would have to face the darkness alone.